Good morning and good evening, everyone. This is the environmental meeting that is held virtually and is aired worldwide to talk about climate change. The leaders of each country will tackle many different aspects of it, from the sources, reasons, effects, and of course, some possible solutions to lessen it.
Hello, good morning. I, the President of the Philippines, is here to participate actively and open-mindedly as much as I can.
Sawadee Krap! Faktoro no Hatnokon, Prime Minister of Thailand here. I will also participate actively.
Good morning. Prime Minister of Japan is also here to listen and to contribute.
Good evening. We have the same agenda.
So, for today's agenda, we are going to talk about the problems and possible solutions for climate change. How about we start to talk about the problems each country is experiencing first?
Sure, if you don't mind, I will go first. The Philippines is a beautiful tropical place. We only have two seasons, the wet and the dry season. The effects of climate change in our country are really big. First of all, I think the most affected area of our country is agriculture. The effects cause the heat to be unbreathable and it causes land to dry out and break. And also, uncertain rain can cause water level to rise up, which may lead to floods. Our economy may also decline because of these effects.
I agree. The same as the country of the Philippines, Thailand is also a tropical country, experiencing almost the same problems as the Philippines. Although, I would say that the effects also affect the wildlife. Due to uncertain weather conditions, the wildlife is having a hard time to adjust, especially when they are exposed to harsh weather in the wild.
Here in Japan, the effects increase the likelihood of more intense and frequent extreme weather events such as storm, droughts, and floods, which will almost certainly have a severe impact in our economy.
While here in the US, we experience increased heat, drought, and insect outbreaks. The climate change also increased wildfires, declining water supplies, reduced agricultural yields, health impacts in cities due to heat, and flooding and erosion in coastal areas. I agree with all you have said. To sum it all up, we all experience increase in temperatures, higher in drought, rising of sea levels, famine or food scarcity, loss of species, more severe storms, increase in wildfires.
Indeed, these climate change effects are very harmful. On to our next agenda, what do you think are the reasons of this climate change?
One of the main contributors of climate change is definitely pollution. Pollution exists in many forms, like water pollution that can kill the marine wildlife and corals, the air pollution that is caused by solid and liquid particles, and certain gases that are suspended in the air that is very unhealthy for the people, land pollution that affects the nourishment and fertility of the soil. All of these are very harmful in every way, destroying the environment where we live and also the economy of our country.
I agree. The cutting of trees and clearing of the forest is also one of the contributors. Destroying the trees and the forest is a very wrong move since the trees give us fresh oxygen and the forest is the habitat of many wildlife. Without them, there will be a big loss in our ecosystem that will lead into another big problem.
Some of the contributors are also manufacturing of goods and the powering of buildings. They produce emissions mostly from burning fossil fuels to produce energy for making things. This process also produces gases that will be released to our atmosphere.
Speaking of that causes, greenhouse gases that increase the temperature and it's harmful to our planet.
I agree. It is nice to be educated in this topic so we can have ideas on how to solve them. Speaking of, what are the possible solutions that you have in your mind in dealing with this climate change?
I have researched about some of the solutions possible. Some of them are investing in renewable energy, changing our main energy sources to clean and renewable energy is the best way to stop using fossil fuels. These include technologies like solar, wind, wave, tidal, and geothermal power. Second, switch to sustainable transport. Petrol and diesel vehicles, planes, and ships use fossil fuels. Reducing car use, switching to electric vehicles, and minimizing plane travel will not only help to stop climate change, it will reduce air pollution too. Third, protect forests like the Amazon. Forests are crucial in the fight against climate change, and protecting them is an important climate solution. Cutting down forests on an industrial scale destroy against giant tree which could be sucking up huge amounts of carbon. Yet, companies destroy forests to make way for animal farming, soya or palm oil plantations. Government can stop them by making better laws. Tapos na.
I also recommend protecting the oceans. Oceans also absorb large amount of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, which helps to keep our climate stable. Protecting the oceans and the life in them is ultimately a way to protect ourselves from climate change. And second, reduce plastic. Plastic is made of oil, and the process of extracting, refining, and turning oil into plastic, or even polyester for clothing, is surprisingly carbon intense. It doesn't break down quickly in nature, so a lot of plastic is burned, which contributes to emissions. Demand for plastic is rising so quickly that creating and disposing of plastics will account for 17% of the global carbon budget in 2050, by the year of 2050.
I know that the things that I will recommend will be hard to impose, but I will elaborate them regardless, since they may help with the problem. First, improve farming and encourage vegan diets. One of the best ways for individuals to help stop climate change is by reducing their meat and dairy consumption. Businesses and food retailers can improve farming practices and provide more plant-based products to help people make the shift. Secondly, reduce how much people consume. Our transport, fashion, food, and other lifestyle choices all have different impacts on the climate. Our transport, fashion, food, and other lifestyle choices have all different impacts on the climate. This is often by design. Fashion and technology companies, for example, will release far more products than are realistically needed. But while reducing the consumption of these products might be hard, it's most certainly worth it. Reducing overall consumption in more wealthy countries can help put less strain on the planet.
My recommendations are keep fossil fuels in the ground. Fossil fuels include coal, oil and gas, and the more that are extracted and burned, the worse climate change will get. All countries need to move their economies away from fossil fuels as soon as possible. Secondly, restore nature to absorb more carbon. The natural world is very good at cleaning up our emission, but we need to look after it. Planting trees in the right places of giving land back to nature through rewilding. Schemes is a good place to start. This is because photosynthesizing plants draw down carbon dioxide and they grow, locking in away soil.
These are very nice recommendations. I hope some of them will be imposed and will really solve the problem of climate change. Thank you so much everyone for participating in this environmental meeting. Wishing you all a success in solving this problem.